Hey guys. So I haven't filmed with this camera in a hot ass minute, but I wanted to go ahead and um, pop on and talk about the fact that I've hit the big 100. And honestly, it is just so crazy. So let me go ahead and get some business done before we get into it. But I've lost 100 pounds of fat since July of 2022. That's when I first got my scale. It measures body fat. That's what I go by. Hit 100 pounds. It's pretty crazy. I go by body fat because I don't ever want to disincentivize going to the gym, building muscle, all that stuff. So I will take the credit where the credit is due. And what I will say too is, holy crap, it hasn't been a lot of work. Just honestly, I don't even know, like, the whole day I was just so shook by it. I knew it was coming because I measure it, I measure my weight all the time, so it's not like a shocking thing to me. But it is like, it's shocking in the sense that it actually happened. Like, I actually got there. And to be fair, like, even based upon, like, just pure weight, it's really, like, basically the same. The highest I ever got was 383, and I'm 285. So it's a whole 2 pounds of weight, weight-wise. That's interesting to think about too, because that does affect a lot of things, like knees and things like that. And I think it's one of those things where I don't think it's going to be completely processed for a while. I was trying to think about it. I had the other moment that was similar was when I was going to be no longer super morbidly obese. That was huge. That was very huge in terms of like health issues, health things, and all this different stuff. And it was a very slow process at the beginning of the year for that to occur. And it's similar to this process to get to 100 pounds lost. I knew it was coming, but I think what hit me was just that I had hit a plateau in April, and it lasted for a while. And then it started to slowly come down, and then it plateaued again, and then it started to come down again. And I feel like this weird connection to getting over my ex and that whole situation, because it was right after that. It was like a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was whenever that electromagnetic storm happened. That's when I had so many epiphanies during that weekend. And I just let it go. And I remember, like, after that, I was completely done. I made a decision. I was like, yeah, I'm over it. It's done, period. It's like you just reach a point of clarity about something like that, and then you just understand that it's over. It's going to stay over. You want it to be over. Like, you just have all these different things. It happens in a breakup. It's not anything spectacular. But what happened after that was I slept for like 10 hours that night. Like, I was really tired or something. And then I just started losing right after that. And it just started picking up and going back to normal. And I try really hard not to allow fat acceptance rhetoric to affect my perception. And I try really hard not to allow my past ED to affect my perception either. Because when it comes to, is weight loss possible? Is sustained weight loss possible? Like, all these different things. Like, can I trust my body to lose the weight? Can I trust this? Can I trust that? Especially when you have like a plateau or you have certain things. There's a lot of these feelings throughout the journey because of the society that we're in, especially in the United States, that it's going to run dry one day. It's going to be over. I'm going to lose this weight, and then I'm going to hit a set point, and I'm not going to be able to keep going. And there are still times where I have those fears, but I feel like with this number and with this moment, those fears go away. Because it's like this moment of all these people are wrong. That's how I felt this morning. Because I remember when I started to lose weight, like after I had gotten over my ex and all that, just kind of cried it out and just let it go completely. I started losing again, and I started getting really like emotional about it because I knew I was coming to this point of 100 pounds. And it's like, I don't think people can understand sometimes, maybe some of you can, how desperately I have wanted this for how long. And so it's like when it was starting to move forward again, it's like I'm watching it with bated breath, pretty much. Like, am I actually going to do this? Because I got to my lowest weight ever this month. And that was already really huge. And it was hard to see. And it was hard to this and hard to that. Just because, like, for me, 290 was very similar to, like, if any of you guys watch Amberlyn Reid, her, like, 100 and whatever pounds she lost, or, like, whatever weight she was at that lowest point. It was very similar to that, in the sense that sometimes within ED recovery, there is certain numbers, or there are certain numbers that matter to you, or there's certain things that take you back to certain points, because your body image and all these things are so combined within this emotional scape in your mind. And so it's like, it mattered so much to me when I got to 290. And then I lost it, and it was very difficult to sustain. And I've already described why for a lot of reasons. I was very hypo. I wasn't doing proper diets for hypo, especially like very severe hypothyroidism. I just wasn't doing it right for a lot of different reasons. Also, the ED in and of itself, it leads you to do diets that are too extreme. You want to lose the weight too fast. You want to do all these things. And people perceive it as your body fighting back and fighting you. And it's not fighting you. Your body just wants to go slow. Your body's natural tendency is to gain and lose weight slowly. If you try to rush it either way, it's just as painful. I know that. I had moments where I gained 30 pounds in like 4 months. And it was very painful and very horrible. The other way too. But people don't ever talk about that. And so for me, it was like, there's parts of me that internalize that. And even certain things that my ex had said too. There are certain things that I still internalized and still kind of held on to for a long time after it was over. And I think the rhetoric is the same either way. You know, my ex had been kind of taken up by FA, I've realized in retrospect. And it's just really crazy to me that there's a part of me that thought that could still work. Just like dumbass Alex over here. But it's like, I don't regret it, because my health is so much more important. And I feel like when people want you to be so huge, I think no matter who it is, it's rooted in some kind of control mechanism. And I want people who are really big to understand that that's not okay, no matter who it is, whether it's somebody on TikTok, whether it's a family member, a romantic partner, anybody. It's not okay. And don't ever let those things that people say stop you. Ever. And like I said, I do put on a brave face a lot of the time because I am brave, honestly. I am. But, and I try to stay graceful as possible. You know, I'm losing the weight publicly, and that's just, I take the responsibility seriously, if that makes sense. I just want to show people the truth about it. And so I try to be as honest as I can be. And I will tell you guys, like, as brave-faced as I am, there are still times where their rhetoric was in my mind, where I had still internalized it, where, like I said, my own ED, there's still those lines of thought. Because it's one thing to not binge anymore. It's another thing to lose some weight. But it's another thing to go further than you've ever gone. It's uncharted. It's different. It's new. It's weird. And I'm getting to a point now where I've lost so much weight in the 100-pound category where it's like they are starting to see me differently. And I'm very glad that that's happening slowly. And for me personally, I think it's been good to do it online and publicly and these kinds of things, just because I can slowly adjust to how people view me, and I think it will be a lot less of a thing. But there's two things I'm not going to do in regard to this 100-pound weight loss. I'm not going to act like I'm lucky, because I'm not. There was no luck in this. Whatsoever. It took a lot of work. It didn't take impossible work. It didn't take, any of those things. But from a super morbidly obese perspective, it definitely took brute force. Okay? Grace, patience, dealing with regain, dealing with all these different things. It was not linear whatsoever. And it was heavily seasonal as well, which I will still bring that up always, even if it pisses people off. Because, again, there are certain things that I say on here that will probably apply to super morbidly obese only, and that's okay. Somebody has to say something. And I want you to know, no matter what, if you're losing weight and it starts to stop in the winter, you are not a failure. It's an aspect of metabolism. And yes, your metabolism is worse when you're super morbidly obese, and that is valid, but it does not mean that you can't get out. But it does mean it's harder, and that's why I will tell everyone else, do not become super morbidly obese. Take it seriously. If you're gaining weight, take it seriously. Do something about it. Don't do anything radical. Remember, on this channel, I will always advocate for calculated decisions in weight loss made from an unemotional place, rooted in physical reality. That's incredibly important. So don't do anything radical, but start taking slow but steady steps if you are gaining weight. You don't want to get to morbidly obese or super morbidly obese. It is harder to lose weight at those sizes. It absolutely is. I don't care what anyone says. I've been super morbidly obese. I'm now morbidly obese. It is half as hard to continue to lose. Honestly. I was talking to my friend Eric earlier today about it, and I was like, I don't think it's easy to lose weight where I'm at, but because of how hard it was 100 pounds ago, it seems easy. But I think your average person would go through what I'm going through still and still be like, holy crap, this is hard. But for me, I'm so desensitized. So I want you to know, if you are super morbidly obese, if you get out of it, it is easier. And I think that's so important. So important, because I wish I would have known that And it is easier. As long as you're not destroying your thyroid health as you're losing weight and you're doing it steadily, a normal, decent caloric deficit, you're going to get there. Even if it takes years, you will get there, I promise. And so I'm not going to say I'm lucky. I'm not. And the other thing that I'm not going to say is I'm not going to say that I'm unhappy. I'm not going to say that I'm ashamed or that I'm worried about if other people are going to be upset. Because I'm not. I'm very happy with this. I am celebrating it. I am happy. I am not necessarily going to be graceful about it either, because there is a lot of anger I carry towards a lot of people when it comes to this issue, and I'm not going to be quiet about it. I'm not. So, I don't care who it pisses off. I don't care. I had somebody on one of my Aubrey Gordon videos tried to come in and say, I actually agree with Aubrey. And I responded to that and I said, thank you for showing your stupidity. I'm not going to play around with this FA bullshit. It's not happening. It will not be entertained. I'm not curious about your perspective. I'm not going to act like you have a point. I'm not going to act like you're right at all. Period. There might be certain very, very limited situations where there's maybe a kernel of truth still encased in lies. And I will point those out and do my best in that regard. But I'm not going to entertain the BS. I'm not even going to pretend to entertain the BS. I'm not going to be nice about it, and that's a fact. So, I'm happy. I'm very happy. Extremely. This is a victory. This is not something that I'm going to cry about, that I'm going to be sad about. None of that. So, this is like, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I proved fucking fat acceptance wrong, and hell yeah, I proved my ex fucking wrong. Period. And I hope it stings. I hope it does. Because the amount that I have suffered, the amount of people that still continue to suffer, and the amount of people that try to hold us down every single day, I will not forget it. And as people just start to say, oh, well, you're just lucky. Well, you just made it. You're the 5%. You're this, you're that. It's bullshit. So don't let anybody tell you that about me. I struggled for 15 years. I had a very, very severe ED that I almost died from due to hypothyroidism as a complication. That's huge. I am not an exception whatsoever. Do not ever let somebody tell you that. Ever. I'm not special. I'm not an exception. I'm not any of that. I'm not lucky. None of that. So, if you're watching this and you're wondering, just know, none of those things are true. I have a short on my channel where I talk about all of my dieting cycles I did. And it will show the years. I use the Taylor Swift Eras Tour intro to show all the different years that I struggled horrifically. But to finally be at a point where there's no self-sabotage, there's no emotional baggage behind the weight loss, there's no identity issue, there's none of this, to finally be at that point and just be able to give myself something I've wanted so deeply and just be happy with it and just celebrate it and just continue forward with a smile on my face, even if it's a slightly mean smile, maniacal smile, satisfying smile. I am just so, I'm happy. I am. And I'm thankful to you guys that support me. I'm thankful for all the support. And I'm thankful to be able to do this, to be able to do it publicly, because I'm showing you guys it's a thing. I was fat my whole life, Aubrey. I've lost drastically more than whatever small percentage you said I could. 5% or something? 10% tops. I've lost more than that. I've lost 20%. Kept off the first bit of weight loss since 2022. You're wrong, Aubrey. You're all wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. It's not easy. It's certainly not easy to do publicly, but like I said, I'm not doing it like as if I'm ashamed. I'm not doing it in that way whatsoever. So, anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Those are my thoughts. That's what I thought about. And we're going to keep going. And I'll get back to you guys with other stuff in another future health update. I wanted this one to just be about this. But thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Peace.